Caitlin Clark has finally found something she and Aaliyah Boston don't see eye to eye on, and it has nothing to do with pick and rolls, MVP races, or who should be taking the last shot. It's about something way more controversial this time of year, whether Home Alone 3 belongs anywhere near the top of a Christmas movie list. Everything in this video is based on publicly available interviews, social media posts, and reporting, and is meant for entertainment and informational purposes only. With the holidays creeping up, everybody's talking about Christmas traditions, decorating trees, matching pajamas, ugly sweaters, all of that. But for Indiana Fever stars Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, the debate took a very 2025 turn when the conversation shifted from basketball to Christmas movies. And because nothing these two do stays small, a simple top 5 list ended up sparking a mini discussion among WNBA fans about taste, nostalgia, and what actually counts as a real Christmas film. Let's set the scene first. Aaliyah Boston, one of the WNBA's brightest young forwards and the interior anchor of the Indiana Fever, recently joined Candace Parker on her podcast, Post Moves. If you know Candace, you know her show always blends serious hoops talk with light, fun, personal questions that get stars to open up. This time of year, that naturally meant one thing: Christmas. Parker asked Boston to name her favorite holiday movies, her personal top 5. No analytics, no fancy metrics, just pure vibes. And Aaliyah's answers tell you a lot about who she is off the court. At the very top of Boston's list, the classic of classics, the original Home Alone. No arguments there. Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McAllister, the booby traps, the screaming after the aftershave, the wet bandits. That movie basically raised an entire generation. From a cultural standpoint, it's hard to find a more universally accepted Christmas film than that one. Right behind it, Aaliyah put Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Again, pretty defensible. Same kid, same chaos, just upgraded to a luxury hotel, a toy store, and a certain cameo in the lobby that we won't get into. For a lot of kids who grew up in the 90s and 2000s, the first 2 Home Alones are the cinematic equivalent of hot chocolate and a tree lit up in the living room. Then came the curveball. In third place, Boston went with Home Alone 3. Now, for anyone who's not as deep into holiday movie lore, Home Alone 3 is where the franchise shifts away from the original McAllister storyline. New kid, Alex, new house, new villains. No Macaulay Culkin. No Catherine O'Hara. It's technically part of the franchise, but very much its own thing. And that's exactly what Candace Parker pointed out when she reacted to Aaliyah's ranking. She reminded her that Home Alone 3 doesn't feature Culkin at all. But Boston was unfazed. She basically said, yes, she knows, and she does not care. For her, it still counts as part of the Home Alone family, and that was enough to keep it firmly on her list. That alone probably told a lot of fans. Okay, this is pure nostalgia talking. If Home Alone 3 was part of the rotation in your childhood home, it's going to hit different than it does for people who only ever rewatched the original. Aaliyah didn't stop there. After she defended her Home Alone trilogy, she rounded out the rest of her top 5. In fourth, she named Elf, the Will Ferrell classic that has become a modern Christmas staple. Buddy the Elf in New York City, candy-covered spaghetti, Santa, I know him. It's the kind of movie that younger fans often put at number 1. And for her 5th pick, Boston went with The Polar Express. But she admitted, in a moment that probably made a lot of listeners smile, that she only threw it in there to make it a full top 5. It's like she had 4 movies she really loved and then thought, okay, I need one more. The Polar Express is another early 2000s kid classic, especially if you grew up on that slightly uncanny animation and Tom Hanks playing half the cast. So Aaliyah's list laid out looked like this: Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Home Alone 3 Elf, and The Polar Express. If you look at that lineup, you see exactly what you'd expect from someone in her mid-20s. It's a mix of 90s and 2000s family favorites, heavy on comedy, with a little animated magic thrown in to finish it off. No black and white classics. No Die Hard is secretly a Christmas movie hot take. Just films you put on when you want to feel like a kid on winter break again. And that's probably where the story ends until Caitlin Clark appears in the comments section. Because of course she does. An Instagram post went up highlighting Aaliyah Boston's rankings from the podcast, and Caitlin Clark, who has been building a pretty big presence on social media since college, couldn't resist jumping in. Her first reaction? She loved the Home Alone 3 inclusion. Home Alone 3. She just gets it, she wrote. Basically crowning Aaliyah a kindred spirit into this sequel is underrated club. That's the kind of inside joke internet support that tells you these two are genuinely close. They're not just saying the right things in press conferences. They're watching the same movies, clowning on each other's picks, and turning it into content for fans. But Caitlin being Caitlin, she didn't completely let the list slide. While she backed the idea that Home Alone 3 deserves respect, she added a gentle disclaimer. She doesn't think it should actually be ranked above Elf. To her, that was a step too far. And you know what? A lot of people probably agree. Elf is one of those movies that has turned into a December must-watch across generations. For many fans, putting any of the later Home Alone entries over Elf is borderline blasphemy. The tone of her comment, though, was key. It wasn't a harsh critique. It was playful, a kind of love you, but we gotta talk about this order. And that's exactly the kind of friendly disagreement that fans love to see between teammates. Because this isn't just random WNBA gossip. In a subtle way, this back and forth shows you what's happening inside the Indiana Fever culture. Think about this. Aaliyah Boston was the number 1 overall pick in 2023, Rookie of the Year, the face of franchise for a season. Then Caitlin Clark arrives in 2024 with a tidal wave of attention, ratings, and expectations. It would be easy, in another universe, for that to create tension. Instead, what we keep seeing from their social media and their interviews is two players who genuinely like each other, joke with each other, and support each other. If you've been following WNBA news, you've probably seen some of the heavier stuff. CBA negotiations, strike authorization, debates about revenue sharing, Caitlin pulled into league-wide labor conversations, Aaliyah being asked to comment on everything from TV ratings to expansion. On the court, the Fever are trying to grow into a real contender around these two young stars. Off the court, the franchise is becoming a major marketing force for the league. So, when they take a break from all that and start bickering about Christmas cinema, it feels refreshing. It humanizes them. It shows that when they leave the arena, they're doing what the rest of us do in December, arguing about whether the Polar Express actually belongs on anyone's top 5, and defending the movies that raised them. There's also a bigger cultural debate tucked into all of this. What even counts as a Christmas movie? We've all had that argument at some point. For the purists, a Christmas film has to be fully built around the holiday. The entire plot, the emotional core, the visual language, everything should scream Christmas. Think Home Alone, Elf, It's a Wonderful Life, The Santa Claus. If Christmas disappeared, those movies wouldn't make any sense. Then there are the looser definitions. Some people say, if there's a big Christmas scene, or it's set during the holidays in a memorable way, I'm counting it. That's how films like Die Hard end up on so many holiday watch lists. Even though it's an action movie first, Christmas backdrop second. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone/Sorcerer's Stone is another one. The Christmas at Hogwarts sequence is iconic enough that a lot of families pop it in every December. Aaliyah's list is interesting in that way, because it's all in on the straightforward holiday movies. There's no debate about whether those count. They're built around Christmas from the ground up, where the disagreement creeps and is not about what counts, but about which entries deserve classic status. Home Alone 3 is that dividing line. For some people, it's a straight-to-DVD quality spin-off that they either never saw or forgot instantly. For others, especially those who were kids when it came out, it's part of the rotation. It doesn't matter that it's a new kid and a different set of villains. The structure is familiar. The tricks are still fun. If it played every year in your house, it's going to feel like Christmas. And that's what Aaliyah's list really reveals. How personal this stuff is. Candace Parker, calling out the lack of Macaulay Culkin, is the voice of one generation of fans. Aaliyah, shrugging and saying, essentially, "That's fine, I still like it," is the voice of another. Caitlin co-signing that pick, but drawing a line at putting it over Elf is like the tiebreaker vote that says, we'll accept the movie, but we're not rewriting the Christmas canon. If you're enjoying this kind of lighter WNBA content, where we get to talk about players as real people, not just numbers on a stat sheet. Make sure to subscribe for more. We break down the drama and the debates, but we also love these slices of personality that help grow the league. Now, let's talk about why this small interaction actually matters a bit more than it might seem. The WNBA is in this moment, right now, where visibility is exploding. Caitlin Clark shows up and ratings jump. Aliyah Boston anchors a front court, and suddenly you're hearing more about the Fever than you have in years. Candace Parker is transitioning from star player to media powerhouse. Fans are paying attention to what players wear, what they say, who they hang out with, and yes, what their favorite movies are. These small pieces of content, an Instagram comment here, a podcast anecdote there, feed into a sense of familiarity. When fans feel like they know players, they're more likely to buy jerseys, tune into random mid-season games, defend them in online arguments. It's the same thing we've seen for years in the NBA. Off-court content builds on-court loyalty. Think about how many NBA players have gone viral debating top 5 rappers, best 2000 cartoons, or whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It's silly, but it gives people a way to connect that doesn't require understanding pick-and-roll coverage or PR. The WNBA is finally starting to see that same sort of thing catch on in a big way, and Caitlin and Aliyah are right at the forefront of it. For Indiana Fever fans, this exchange is also just one more data point that says our stars actually like each other. That might sound basic, but we've all seen what happens when star duos don't click off the court. The body language on the floor gets weird. Media questions get tense. Every loss turns into a referendum on chemistry. So seeing Caitlin publicly backing Aliyah's questionable Home Alone 3 agenda, even while good-naturedly disagreeing about Elf, sends a little signal. This is a partnership, not a power struggle. They don't have to align on every ranking to align on the big stuff. Could this Christmas movie debate turn into content for the Fever's own channels? Honestly, they'd be missing a golden opportunity if it didn't. It's not hard to imagine a team-produced video where players rank holiday films, react to each other's picks, and maybe even show a mini-movie night in the practice facility. Fans eat that up. And every time the Fever do something like that, it trickles out across WNBA news, WNBA gossip pages, and mainstream feeds. There's also a small, fun question here for you watching this. Whose side are you actually on? Are you with Aliyah and Caitlin in saying Home Alone 3 is underrated and deserves love in a Christmas marathon? Or are you firmly in the camp that says only the first 2 count, and any ranking that puts Home Alone 3 over Elf needs to be sent straight to the North Pole for review? And what about the Polar Express? Does it genuinely belong in the top 5? Or was Aliyah right to admit it was more of a filler pick to make a neat list? These are the kind of debates that roll around every living room and group chat this time of year. The fact that they're now happening between 2 of the biggest names in women's basketball just makes them 10 times more fun. At the end of the day, this little movie ranking drama doesn't change anything serious. It doesn't answer whether the WNBA is going to get a better CBA. It doesn't tell us if the Fever are going to win a title next season. But it does remind us of why so many people have fallen in love with this league over the past couple of years. The WNBA isn't just about elite talent and high-level strategy. It's about personalities. It's about seeing Aliyah Boston light up when she talks about movies she watched as a kid. It's about watching Candace Parker playfully poke holes in her list. It's about Caitlin Clark dropping into the comments like any other friend, hyping the pick she likes, and gently roasting the one she doesn't. That blend, world-class athletes with relatable, everyday quirks, is what's helping turn casual observers into die-hard fans. So as you go into your own holiday season, maybe take a page out of their book. Make your list. Argue with your people about it. Defend your favorites. Admit when you added 1 just to get a 5. And then, next time you see Caitlin Clark drilling logo 3s or Aliyah Boston bullying someone to paint, you'll remember that somewhere between games, they're also just 2 young women arguing about whether Home Alone 3 is a masterpiece or simply good enough, just like the rest of us. Let me know in the comments. What's your top 3 Christmas movies? And does Home Alone 3 crack the list? Are you Team Aliyah on this one, or more on Caitlin's side, that Elf deserves a higher spot? If you like seeing this more human side of WNBA stars and want more stories that blend hoops culture and a little bit of holiday chaos, make sure to hit subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.